My husband's sister resents me because our in-laws prefer me, and at our wedding, she tried to announce her pregnancy, only for her husband to expose that she was cheating and the baby wasn't his. I've been with Jack for years. I should have known from the start that his family was a problem. He always talked about them like they were this constant weight on his shoulders. His younger sister, Kylie, especially. She was the perfect little princess, the golden child, the one they never stopped praising. And Jack, he was just there, always second best. But I didn't think it would get to me, didn't think I'd be dragged into it. I was wrong. The first time I met them, I didn't know what to expect. I knew about the tension, of course. Jack's stories were full of resentment, but I figured I'll just smile, stay neutral, maybe get a couple of polite compliments about my career, my architecture stuff. It's always the safe topic, right? Wrong. At first, they were fine, warm even. His parents greeted me like I was a distant relative they hadn't seen in years, overly interested in my career and my accomplishments. The whole, oh, you're an architect? That's impressive, thing that they did to smooth over any potential awkwardness. But it didn't take long for the cracks to show. Kylie showed up late, like always, looking smug and self-important. She had this way of making everything seem like it was just a little bit beneath her. The conversation went smoothly until we got to lunch. That's when the comments started. Not from Jack's parents, if they were busy talking about whatever new thing Kylie had going on. No, it was from her. The little digs. You're an architect? That's cute. I always thought that kind of thing was for people who couldn't handle a real job. I froze. I didn't even know how to respond to that. A real job? She couldn't even look me in the eye when she said it, like I was the one pretending to be someone I wasn't. But that was Kylie for you, wasn't it? Always subtly making you feel smaller, less than. Just enough to make herself feel big. Then it got worse. A little jab about who should pay for the meal. Jack, who had been trying to keep the peace, suggested he'd cover it. She laughed. Don't be silly. I thought the big, successful architect would pick up the check. I mean, she's got to be making way more than you, right? Jack tried to brush it off, but I could tell he was seething. And me? I couldn't shake it. That one sentence lingered, settled in the pit of my stomach. I thought I'd be above it. I wasn't. She wasn't done. No, she kept it going, watching me like a hawk, just enough to make sure I knew she was still the one in control. I tried to avoid her after that. It was easy, right? Just ignore the girl who clearly didn't want to be my friend. But then it started on social media. Kylie had this thing where she'd watch me, like all my posts, but never once actually comment. I wasn't stupid. I knew what she was doing. A week later, I got a message from her, a photo, a really old one, a picture of me with an ex from years ago. I hadn't even thought about him in forever. She was trying to make me look bad, put me on blast, cause some kind of drama. It was clear. I didn't even have to ask Jack about it. I knew he'd defend me, like he always did. But that didn't stop Kylie from sending it. She wanted to stir something up, to drag me into her petty games. And when Jack stepped in, defending me, that just made things worse between him and Kylie. She hated that. It was like a mark of betrayal to her. But this wasn't about her being hurt. This was about power. It was clear she wasn't going to stop. And the more I saw it, the more I started to realize that I was tangled in something I didn't want to be a part of. Jack had this weight on him, and now it was hanging over me too. She wasn't going to let up, and I couldn't let her keep dragging me down. But Jack defended me. He always defended me. And that's when I understood it. This wasn't just about Kylie, it was about him. He was still trying to prove something to her, something he probably would never get. I'm not some naive person who thinks family should always come first, but I always believed Jack deserved better. Better than his sister. Better than whatever expectations his family had shoved down his throat. And I couldn't help but wonder, how much longer would I stay stuck in the middle of this mess before I got tired of it? The cracks were starting to show, and I knew, no matter how much Jack defended me, no matter how much I tried to stay out of it, we weren't going to escape it. Kylie called. Out of nowhere, like nothing had happened. She invited us over for dinner. Jack didn't even hesitate. He still thought there might be some way to fix things with her. I wasn't sure if it was for her or for him, but we went. Kylie was already there when we showed up. She acted like everything was fine, all smiles, like there hadn't been months of tension. She seemed too calm, too perfect. Jack and I sat down, not really sure what to expect, but prepared for whatever game she was playing this time. Then she dropped it. I eloped, she said, holding up her left hand with a stupid smile. Got married to Isaac, Vegas. I stared at her. Isaac, The guy who was old enough to be her dad. The one she'd been with for months and never told anyone about. Jack froze. We both did. She wasn't asking for approval or trying to explain. She was just letting us know, like it didn't matter. "You're married?" Jack finally said. "To Isaac?" "Yeah," she said. Casual, like she was talking about the weather. "I didn't want to bother anyone. It's just us, you know? No big deal." I looked at Jack. This wasn't like her at all. Kylie hated surprises. She hated anything that didn't fit her idea of control. She was too obsessed with trying to prove she could get whatever she wanted, even if it didn't make sense. This wasn't about love. This was about power. I didn't know what to say. The night went downhill from there. Kylie wasn't done. "You two should think about your future," she added, trying to push her old-fashioned crap. "Marriage, kids. That's what real families do. Jack, don't waste time." I shot her a look. "You don't get to tell us what to do." Jack's face turned red. He stood up so fast I thought he might explode. "Enough, Kylie." We didn't stay long after that. Kylie wasn't just pushing us apart. She was pushing for something that didn't exist. She wanted us to play by her rules, to buy into her version of the world. But we weren't doing it. Not anymore. It was getting harder to ignore the chaos Kylie was causing. I tried to step back, focus on Jack and me, but she kept pulling us back in. Then it happened. The one thing that stopped me in my tracks. Jack and I were walking around the city one afternoon when I spotted her. Kylie sitting at a cafe with some guy who wasn't Isaac. I froze. I grabbed Jack's arm. "Look." He didn't see it right away, but then he did. And the look on his face told me everything. This wasn't just a random person. This wasn't just an old friend. No, this was another guy. Someone she was definitely involved with. I didn't need to know more. I snapped a picture on my phone, then sent it to Jack. His face turned from confusion to something else. Something I hadn't seen before. It was anger. Real anger. "I can't believe this," he muttered. But there was no going back. We couldn't unsee what we'd just seen. The next day, we did what we always did. Jack tried to smooth things over. He was still trying to fix everything, but it was different now. He wasn't just defending her anymore, he was trying to make things right somehow, even though we both knew it was already too late. But the real blow came a few days later. Jack found out the truth from Isaac. Kylie had been cheating on him with this guy for months, and to make things worse, she was pregnant. But not with Isaac's kid. It hit us like a ton of bricks. Isaac was devastated. He didn't know what to do with the information. Jack didn't either, but he couldn't keep it to himself. Isaac had to know. Isaac thanked Jack for telling him. He didn't seem angry, just resigned. He didn't even want to confront Kylie. He just asked Jack to keep it between them, but it wasn't going to stay between them. Kylie, of course, found out. When the truth finally hit her, she didn't do anything. No apology, no confrontation. She just sat there, acting like nothing had happened. She was going to try and pretend that everything was fine, that it wasn't her fault, that it was someone else's doing, but I knew. Jack knew. We all knew. The worst part? I wasn't surprised. Not anymore. She'd been playing everyone, and now the mask was off. There was no pretending anymore. The whole damn thing was exposed, and she had nowhere to hide. What would you do if you found out a family member was cheating? Would you confront them or just spectate? Our wedding day. I never thought I'd have to deal with Kylie showing up, but of course she did. Jack's parents called us a week before. "Kylie's family, she should be there," they said. Jack didn't want to cause drama, so he insisted we invite her. I wasn't thrilled, but I agreed. She showed up anyway, acting like nothing was wrong. It wasn't long before she started pulling her usual crap. We were at the reception, and Jack's dad was giving a toast. Out of nowhere, Kylie grabbed the mic. "I need to say something," she announced, interrupting him. The whole room went quiet. Everyone turned to look at her, and I could already feel the tension. "I'm pregnant," she said, "but I don't know who the father is." I just stared. No one knew how to react. The entire room was frozen. Jack looked like he'd been punched in the gut. She tried to make it sound like it was no big deal. "I just wanted you all to know. I'm a part of this family too." Isaac, who had been standing off to the side, walked over and grabbed the mic from her. "Kylie's not pregnant with my child," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "She's been cheating on me." The room went dead silent. Isaac went on, laying out everything. It wasn't just one affair, it was a mess. And Kylie? She didn't even try to deny it. She just stood there, completely silent, as Isaac exposed the truth. Jack, clearly embarrassed, turned to his sister and said, "Get out. You're done here." Kylie stormed off, but it was over. She'd made a fool of herself, and we weren't going to let her drag us into her chaos anymore. Have you ever had a family member cause drama at a major life event? How did you handle the situation? The wedding chaos was just the start of it. Kylie wasn't going to let anything go. She was like a bad habit. She kept coming back no matter how much we tried to cut ties. After everything that went down at the wedding, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd take the hint and disappear into the background for a while. I was wrong. Kylie started sending emails, not just one or two, but a string of them, all of them blaming me for what happened. She said I humiliated her, that I ruined everything. She never once took responsibility for her own actions. It was always someone else's fault, and this time I was the one who was ruining her life. She even went so far as to claim that I was the reason Isaac left her. Like it was somehow my fault that she couldn't keep her lies straight. I didn't bother reading them all. I skimmed through the first few and then I just deleted them. I wasn't going to engage. I wasn't going to waste another minute letting her drag me into her drama. Jack was in a different place, though. He couldn't just cut her off like I did. He still tried to convince himself that there was some good in her, that maybe she could change. But I knew better. Kylie had already shown who she really was, and I wasn't going to keep pretending like she was anything but toxic. Jack's parents? They were still playing the neutral card, trying to keep peace, trying to keep the family intact. But it was obvious. Kylie was their precious little princess, and they refused to see how bad it had gotten. They didn't want to cut her out, but they weren't exactly rushing to defend her either. They wanted everything to just go back to normal, but there was no going back. Then, Isaac finally dropped the bomb. He filed for divorce, and honestly, I wasn't shocked. I was just waiting for it. Kylie had been playing him the entire time, and she didn't care about anything but herself. Isaac wasn't stupid. He wasn't going to stick around for her lies and manipulation. When Jack found out, he was pissed, not at Isaac, at Kylie, at himself for not seeing it sooner. And I knew this was the tipping point. He wasn't going to sit on the fence anymore. He couldn't. Kylie didn't even act surprised when she heard about the divorce. She didn't apologize to Isaac or anyone else. She just kept up the same act, pretending like she was the victim. She told Jack that Isaac was just overreacting and that she was the one being unfairly treated. The emails kept coming. She was still blaming me, still trying to drag Jack into her mess. But the more she pushed, the more Jack and I pulled away. He couldn't fight it anymore. There was nothing left to salvage with her. Jack finally cut her off completely. He didn't tell her directly, but his actions spoke louder than words. He stopped responding to her texts, ignored her calls, and made it clear to everyone else that he was done with her. It wasn't a decision he made lightly, but it was the right one. She wasn't family anymore, not in the way we wanted. She was a liability, and we couldn't keep pretending that things were fine. Isaac was done with her too. The divorce papers came through, and Kylie couldn't even fake being upset. It was like everything she had been holding onto was gone, and she had no one left to blame. The final blow came when Jack's parents started to distance themselves from her as well. They didn't say it outright, but the messages were clear. They couldn't support her anymore. Not after everything that had happened. As for me, I wasn't invested in her anymore. I wasn't going to waste my time even thinking about her. She made her choices, and now she had to live with them. Jack and I were moving forward, focusing on our lives, our happiness. I wasn't going to let her affect us anymore. Have you ever had to cut a toxic person out of your life? How did it affect you and your relationships with others?